Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. I'm your host, Chris the Brain. Joining me in the co-host chair once again, it is my dear friend, Chad Cruz.
And you did say dear friend, and I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks for having me back once again, dear friend.
It's the holiday season. I'm in a very festive mood, a happy mood, and I will compliment you at this time. Come January, you'll be back to being a bastard. Speaking of bastards, we've got a bald bastard with us. It's the Toyman, DePetrillo.
Oh, but you know what? People wouldn't know that because I've got a hoodie on and they can't see me anyway. You could have said I had luscious locks, like, Roman Reigns level hair. But you got to throw me under the bus. But it's okay. I'm still happy to be back.
I'm not going to lie as well. It is also the holiday season. I don't want to be on the naughty list for being a liar and saying something like that about you.
Also true. You don't want any coal in that stocking.
Absolutely not. And, this episode, this particular subject matter, this is something we have been talking about for, the sites or the podcast has been going for over 5 years now, believe it or not.
Holy cow.
And early on in that first couple months, I think this movie was mentioned. That movie being 1992's Gladiator. And every once in a while it would pop up in conversation like, we never did that Gladiator podcast. Still haven't done it. Still haven't done it. We're supposed to do it last week, finally. But there's a curse, Chad Cruz.
There is a curse, the Gladiator curse, as we call it. And anything that could happen has happened, whether it's been technical difficulties or just scheduling issues or I think, didn't you get like a tumor or something? No. Okay. That's good. I'm glad you
did. Out in the universe. Come on.
He's horrible. He doesn't care if it's the holiday season.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
That's true. I have enough hate in me that it would just eat the tumor.
It would melt.
Exactly.
Just melt away.
Bring it on, bastards. So yeah, Gladiator. We're going to finally, knock on wood, we're going to finally get this thing done. But before we get to that, I do want to remind everybody about this Friday, December the 6th, if you're listening to this as it drops, of course. It's the 5th annual Geekscape Holiday Live Stream-tacular to benefit Big Brothers and Big Sisters annual event. You can check it all out. It's a 24-hour live stream. All sorts of our fellow Geekscape podcasts will be a part of that. And if you want to, you can already donate to Big Brothers and Big Sisters by going to geekscapegives.com. Check that out. That will also have where you can stream. And I'm sure if you follow us on social media, I will be sharing links on Friday as well. And I may as well get those out of the way because we're at Bulletproof Pod on Twitter /X. Also on Blue Sky, that's the same thing, Bulletproof Pod.
What?
That's right.
That's a new one.
And
holy shit.
We're on Chad's favorite threads at Bulletproof Action, Facebook and Instagram also at Bulletproof Action. So yeah, we're all over the place like dog shit.
Oh. Now, do you think that like the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which is a phenomenal organization, could I donate a big brother?
You want to donate yourself?
No, I have an older brother. I could donate him.
Sure.
Is he like Chet from Weird Science?
He does
turns into like a big lump of shit.
He does have some Chet in him. I will say that. Yes, he always kind of had some Chet in him.
Chet and Chad show.
Yep. He's a piece of work, no doubt about it. When we were kids, buddy, he was more Chet back then. Now he's a lot more mellow.
Mellowed, yeah. Time will do that to a person.
Yes, it will.
So yeah, there it is, geekscapegives.com if you want to donate, if you can, obviously. And yeah, it's a nice thing to do, again, on the holidays. Getting that holiday spirit. It's the season of giving.
It is. That's what they say.
That's what they say. And we're about to give you one of the most anticipated episodes of this. Well, anticipated by the staff. I don't know if the listeners give two shits if we're covering 1992 Gladiator or not.
But you guys know that Gladiator 2 just came out, which is a sequel to not this Gladiator.
Right, which is why we were going to do it last month to kind of piggyback and get involved. And again. We're doing it now.
But to be fair, every time we bring it up, whether we're talking about it online or, when we had our pal Chad Michael Collins on a few episodes ago, he was a fan of it. There's conversation about this on Twitter, conversation about it on Facebook. Sometimes those VHS groups,
Yeah.
post it and there'll be conversation. So this isn't one of those movies that has fallen by the wayside and has been completely forgotten because every time it comes up, people
Oh
fondly
yeah.
remember it or can remember
Yeah.
a scene in it or the soundtrack, something about it. But I mean, it has been a while because if you want to talk about anniversaries, it was 2 Decembers ago that I covered it for No Surrender Cinema.
That's right. On Boxing Day, I believe.
That's Yes, it
That's
was. It was
right.
my Boxing Day
That's
post.
right.
Holy crap.
That's right, people. Sometimes you got to look a little bit, just a little bit under the surface. Things make sense on bulletproofaction.com every now and again.
Long-term booking, long-term storytelling.
Unless it says by Chad Cruz, then it doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense.
No, you're welcome.
But let's get into it. Gladiator, released on March the 6th, 1992. Not one I saw in the theater, but definitely one I remember seeing the commercials for, and I definitely wanted to see it. And as soon as it came out on video, I'm sure I was grabbing that thing because this just, I don't know, it's just perfect. It was like exactly the type of movie I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, it lived up to everything that I had built up in my brain.
Right.
Which is why we're talking about it 32 years later.
Yeah. And I can't say exactly when it was that I saw Gladiator. Now, I know that I saw it pretty early on. I mean, I was probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old when it came out. But it does have it's one of those films that it's like a part of my upbringing. Like my brother and I used to watch this. My older brother would beat the shit out of me, and we'd put boxing gloves on, and he couldn't hit me in the head, but I could hit him in the head. And then it was just all body shots, and we would watch these movies and all the Rocky films, of course, and we just go nuts. And my dad would sit on the couch in his underwear and watch us and laugh at us and call me names.
Oh boy.
It was a blast. This movie's has this weird place in my heart where I just love it to death.
Chris, when do you remember? Did you see this in the theater? Did you see it on cable? Do you have it on VHS somewhere in your collection?
I'm sure it's on. Well, I don't know if I still have the recorded VHS, but it was recorded at some point. I did not get to see it in the theater, but I can't remember if my cousin rented it or if it was when it premiered on cable and he taped it. But I distinctly remember watching it with my cousin, as I did with many a film back in the day. Same cousin who was responsible for giving me a VHS tape of Revenge of the Ninja and The Terminator from the 80s that I still proudly have in my collection to this day. But yeah, this was one that I saw very early on and was, at the time I was taking Taekwondo, kickboxing, boxing. So of course I went into full Tommy Riley mode and, thought I was going to be the champion of the neighborhood and everything. And luckily I did not punch anybody in the top of their head. But, this has been a favorite, since it debuted.
Yeah, and I am the proud owner of the Gladiator Laserdisc.
Ooh.
Which I had forgotten about. You had told me that, but then when we had our little incident a couple of weeks ago where you were looking for a copy to watch, and I was like, "Oh, here's one," and it turned out to be a dubbed copy. You were like, "Don't worry, I've got the Laserdisc." And I was like, "Oh, he does."
Right.
Is Gladiator the one I keep sending you the record of? Was it Gladiator? I kept taking a picture of a record.
I believe so. Yeah.
I was in a little antique mall, and they have a collection of records.
Yeah, that'd be a good
soundtracks.
Classic soundtrack.
Yeah, you're damn right it would be.
Why didn't you pick it up, cheap bastard?
I don't even have a record.
Me
player,
either, but so. I'd figure it out.
I have one.
Do you?
Christmas is coming.
There you go. Now you know what, Brain. So I don't know if you guys know this. There's another movie called Fighting Tommy Riley. Have you ever heard of that?
No. No relation, I'm assuming.
It is no relation, and I actually own the movie on DVD. It's a boxing movie about a white boxer named Tommy Riley. I'll read you the, let's see, where the fuck is it? It tells the story of Tommy Riley and Marty Goldberg, a boxer and his trainer, as they work to secure a title shot for Tommy. Their plans are complicated, but the unrequited feelings Marty develops for Tommy.
What kind of what?
When a big-time promoter seeks to acquire Tommy's contract, Tommy endangers his future career because of his loyalty to Marty. And I won't read the rest of it, but when I was young, it came out in 2004. So I guess I wasn't that young, but I got the movie thinking it was some sort of sequel because the guy who plays Tommy Riley looks pretty similar to James Marshall. And I was very confused at what I was watching on screen, especially when the trainer was developing feelings for Tommy Riley kind of like made a move on him and stuff. And I was like, holy shit, what am I watching?
You really stumbled onto a genre of film. I'm guessing you don't watch that often, Chad.
No, it's not like a Skinamax thing or anything, but I just remember being so. Like,
no, we know you watch Skinamax movies.
Yeah. Nothing gets by me there, but I think I was so confused by the movie. Just like, why wouldn't you just pick a different name?
Yeah.
Or maybe you're trying to be kind of connected to it. I don't know, but I was very confused when I saw it. Not sexually, but I don't even remember anything about the movie other than it was like, it fucked me up. I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah, this thing's already off the rails, and we haven't.
I'm going to send you the DVD.
No, I don't. Okay.
Are we done? Are we done yet?
No, we are not. We haven't even really started.
Curse of Gladiator.
I talked about the release date, but it is Gladiator. It is 1992, and it starts off with the Tommy Riley that we all know, not the one that you happen to stumble upon, Chad, played by James Marshall. He's heading to school on a cold winter's day on the south side of Chicago, and we find out that he's transferred to this school after he and his father were forced to move from the much more suburban-like Bridgeport, Illinois, after the death of Tommy's mother. And Chris, we get our first taste of the soundtrack, and we get a little Seal, who was big at the time.
Yeah, this was very early on in Seal's career before he was kissing roses. But the song Killer, one of the more unknown, but one of the Seal tracks that I tend to lean towards as opposed to his more mainstream fare.
Oh, definitely. This is on my playlist for sure. And because of this movie. If not for this movie, I probably never would have heard the song.
It's a great song. It really is.
We get Tommy, who he's instantly making friends, Chad Cruz. Actually, he's rubbing people the wrong way. The basketball player, or there's guys playing basketball. Their ringleader is Leroy, a.k.a. Spitz. T.E. Russell himself of Toy Soldiers and Trespass fame. Not a good start for our boy Tommy.
No, it's not a good start at all. As he's making his way into this brand new school. Well, it's not brand new, brand new to him. But he, I like a lot. What I like a lot about this intro is the song is fantastic, but it also the environment is such a character in this movie,
right?
And I dig when that happens. The look of the film and the just so dirty and gritty, and it's cold, and they're wearing like fucking under sweaters. You know what I mean? Like, when you wear a sweater underneath a jacket, like, it's cold.
It's Chicago cold. That windy city. That wind cuts right through you.
No doubt. So I really enjoy that. And then we get to see our good friend Cuba Gooding Jr. Is he a good friend? Was he canceled or something?
I don't know.
Who cares? We get to see Cuba Gooding Jr. He's looking on. He plays Abraham Lincoln Haynes.
Nice.
Which is a wonderful name.
Right. I'm surprised you didn't name one of your kids Abraham Lincoln Cruz.
I actually, Lincoln Hawk was a front runner for a name for my son when he was born. But there's like a part of you that loves a name like that. And then a part of me that says, you're a psycho and don't do that to your child.
Right. Like you could name your kid after somebody from Saved by the Bell if you're psychotic. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
I mean,
wait a second now.
He's not Zach Morris, though, is he?
Is he?
No, he's not Zachary Morris.
Okay, yeah. So you're good.
Are you sure? You can admit it on this program. It's all right.
No, he's Zachary David. He's named after my fictional hero and my real life hero, the same cousin who I watched Gladiator with.
Very good. That is right. I do remember that story.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, Tommy gets in. He goes to the office to get his schedule, and then reports to his first class, which is honestly the only class we ever see any of these kids in.
Much like Saved by the Bell.
Much like, yes. He goes to an empty seat, but Leroy and his boys come in and they go, oh, that seat's taken. That seat's taken. Tommy ends up moving to what seems to be an empty seat. And in the seat next to him, Chad Cruz, is Dawn.
Yeah.
And we get your movie senses instantly tingle like, okay, this isn't just some random female that he's sitting next to. Something's going to happen here.
Yeah. I mean, all these movies, they have to have some sort of romantic interest. And I think that she seems, from the very moment you see her on screen, she looks very kind of innocent and, she's not all crazy and fucking flamboyant or some, not some
Aren't they
nutcase.
also the only two white kids in the class?
No, that's not true. Isn't there one that the teacher woke him up as she was walking in?
Oh, that's true. Yep.
There's a couple, right? South side of Chicago. Yeah. You're definitely, you're a white minority there, I'm sure. But it's going to happen, right? In all these films. And this one kind of gets it out of the way quickly. You're just like, oh, here's this female, the only one he talks to in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what's going to happen?
I wonder. Miss Higgins comes into the classroom and she shuts Leroy's shit down and starts her lecture on Mark Twain. And she has a policy that she's going to make sure these kids can read before they either get pregnant or end up in jail. And it basically, because reading, if they do, that gives them something to do when they're pregnant and gives them something to do when they're behind bars. She's helping them out.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
So Tommy, further irritates Leroy when he knows the answer to Miss Higgins' Mark Twain pseudonym question. And then, pseudonym becomes like Leroy's favorite word then.
Yeah.
For a good chunk of the movie.
Isn't it funny how, my love of this movie kind of gave me a little factoid, whether it's true or not, but like my entire life, I'll never forget that Mark Twain thing. And people would be like, do you know what Mark Twain means? And I'm like, goddamn right, I know what it means.
Yeah, you just go to those bar trivia nights hoping that question pops up.
I do not. I have gone to trivia nights. I have a lot of stupid information in my brain.
Yeah.
But I just, I used to go to those when I was younger. And, but, I just think people cheat. They just sit there with their phones.
Mm-hmm.
They're cheaters.
Yeah, they should have to turn their phones in.
I agree.
Outside the school, we meet Romano, played by John Seda, who bums a smoke off of Tommy. And that
more than one.
Well, that's true. And that's all it takes. You see these like memes on the Instagram and whatnot about how quickly guys could become friends. And here's an example of it.
Yeah.
Just, hey, can I bum? Yeah. Oh, here, I'll get you tomorrow. Tommy though is once again face to face with Spitz and his crew, which now includes a former student, Jerome, aka Shortcut.
Oh.
He's so bad they kicked him out, but he's there to pick up his guys. But
because he's 40,
because he is. Yeah, they held him back for as many years as they were legally obligated to, and then they're like, "Okay, you figure it out yourself." He
looks like a younger version of John Witherspoon, Pops from the Wayans
Brothers.
You are
right. Now I'll never be able to unsee that, and that's fine. But before things escalate, wait a minute now, Lincoln, Chad Cruz.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yeah, you get a little gang warfare here. As I don't remember the names of the gangs. The Avenging Angels, I think, is Lincoln's gang.
And the Stormtroopers.
Those are cool. Those are cool, like, names for your gang. Now, I don't know how that would go over in an area that actually has gangs running around.
Right.
I don't know which gang kind of rules that territory in real life, but I can't imagine a few guys with switchblades to be able to do much around that. But it's kind of neat, you know. Lincoln steps in, kind of not really to help anybody, but just to stop Shortcut and his crew. And you can see that, you know, Shortcut, they hate each other, and Shortcut tries to kill him quickly and then flings the blade over his head wildly into the crowd, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's a good indicator that people don't like each other when they try to kill one another.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that this movie did not inspire Toyman to cover Avenging Angel yet.
It's on the list because I have done the original.
You sure have.
And there's the original trilogy. There is a fourth one,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. We'll have to see. That's kind of then we're kind of drifting into Boxer's Last Stand territory.
What about Avenging Angelo?
With Sylvester Stallone. That was one of like the original budget DVDs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere on one of those multi-packs.
But if I can do my trademark Zach Morris timeout here for a
Please
second,
do.
there's something that when we were doing the initial rundown of the movie, something that we should have mentioned because it focuses on something that's as near and dear to our hearts as this movie. But who was the writer of Gladiator? Do you remember?
Was it the same? It's not the same as the director, correct?
No.
Okay. I don't know.
It's someone who's responsible for creating a very beloved and enduring franchise that still is going strong to this day.
I'm all ears.
The man who created The Karate Kid wrote Gladiator.
Yeah.
How about that?
That is right. I do, yeah. Mark Kamen, right?
Yes, Robert Mark Kamen, yeah.
Oh, Robert Mark. You're a Mark. All right.
I am a Mark for Karate Kid and
Gladiator. I know you are.
I
know you are. But where's our Gladiator action figures?
Right next to the Michael Dudikoff
son
ones.
Of a
Oof.
Okay.
Can't wait for them to be released.
There'd be people on death row release before that Michael Dudikoff figure gets. All right, listen.
Yeah.
Chad will put him right next to his homemade Fighting Tommy Riley dolls.
Anatomically correct.
I only have one doll in my house, and it's locked in the basement.
Oh, geez, that's all right.
What?
All right, moving on. So yeah, school security comes in. Jerome is sent away. Nobody dies. Tommy heads back to his apartment, and there's two guys outside waiting, claiming to be bowling buddies of his dad. And they ask if they could come inside. And once they get inside, they leave a message for his dad. They realize he's not there, so they leave him a message, which is nice, I suppose, but they do it in a very intriguing way, Chad Cruz. I guess there was no paper handy.
No. They I believe he took a marker and wrote it on the television, which is a real dick move.
Yeah. Yeah, because back then, even those shitty TVs were a lot of money. Nowadays you can go get a TV so cheap, and they're much better.
There's one at Best Buy today for like $69. It was like a 32-inch for $69.
It's crazy. Now, the dad that we haven't met yet is played by John Hurd.
I heard that
of Home Alone fame.
Right, you have a theory, don't you?
I do indeed. I have a working theory that this is an unofficial sequel to the Home Alone franchise, the parts 1 and 2 of Home Alone, and that Tommy Riley is actually just Kevin McAllister. You know, they had to kind of go on a run, and they've changed their names. So
they still stayed in Illinois because isn't Home Alone in Chicago?
It is indeed in Chicago. So the theory is the theory is essentially that the mother, Miss McAllister, I forget her name,
Catherine
O'Hara. She runs off with John Candy's character because he's so damn charismatic. And then after the second film and all of the trauma that they've been through from leaving their children and having these fucked up kids like Buzz running around, The parents have divorced. The mother has taken everything from the father because he was wealthy as shit. You see that house?
Yeah.
They're going on vacation in Paris and stuff. Come on. So the mom, she in the divorce gets the kids, all of them but Kevin, because she always leaves Kevin behind. And she takes the money from the dad. So the dad and Kevin are forced to start a new life, one in which they get new names. And because they're moving around so much, Kevin gets in lots of fights at school because he's always new. So he has to learn how to box. Fast forward a little bit to, whatever, senior year in high school. Now they're in Southside Chicago under their new identities. Dad, in his divorce, he took up drinking, took up gambling heavy, in lots of debt. They owe a lot of money. And now we have Gladiator.
And now, do you know that there's a Home Alone 4 that no one remembers because it was complete shite,
I've seen
but it
them
was a
all
TV movie?
in the
Okay,
haunted
so the fourth
haunted
one,
thing.
the fourth one is the one, um, everybody remembers three because that was actually theatrical. But
Yes,
in the fourth one, the father is actually getting a divorce from the mother. That's the plot of it. Like Kevin's all pissed
right.
off because his parents are getting divorced.
And that's the one with the haunted, like safe or whatever, right? Or they think it's haunted.
It was it was the one where
There's a
the
fifth.
guy from Third Rock from the Sun is
Yes.
supposedly Marv, and it's like his girlfriend and him.
Okay. I don't know if I've seen all of four. I know maybe it was five. There's one where there's like I remember four that it is Kevin McAllister. It's a different kid playing it, but there he is Kevin. And then I think in five they move to a house and there's like a safe in the house and they think there's a ghost there. uh, and I remember my
Is that the
kid
Disney Plus one? The one from
made
like during COVID?
no, the newest one they made was Home Sweet Alone, and that was like the little British kid. Uh,
Yeah, when Buzz was the cop.
Buzz is the cop, yes, and Kevin owns a home security company, McAllister's Home Security. Uh,
Yep.
that movie is, you know, you could, it's watchable at least. But what are we talking about, Brain?
You know what actually is watchable is
I was
Gladiator.
going to say,
Yes.
I have gone a long time on this planet and had no idea that any of these things. I knew there was a third Home Alone, but that there was a fourth and a fifth one. If I knew about it, I just immediately put it on like block for 30 days or more.
I think there's 6 total.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'll just stick with the original two if I'm going down that path. You know where Tommy goes? He goes to Millie's Diner after the. He can't really enjoy TV because there's writing all over it, so he may as well go get a cup of coffee. And he ends up at Millie's Diner. And Chris, wouldn't you know who works at Millie's Diner as a waitress?
Would it be the girl who has eyes for our hero, Miss Dawn?
It is. It is Dawn, and interestingly enough, Dawn gets Tommy a dishwashing job. Because, of course, when you think about Dawn, you think about washing dishes. Right?
Yes, it's true. That is true.
It cuts the grease. And it could.
Funnily enough, Tommy's girlfriend back in Bridgeport was named Palmolive.
Oh, all right.
How about that?
I thought it was Madge. All right.
So the actress who plays Dawn, Miss Cara Bruno. She was on Stranger Things, huh? Isn't that your guys'?
Not my thing.
Did you watch that, Toyman?
I do.
Okay, there you go. She's on that show.
There you go.
And a bunch of other shit. I don't know.
Yeah, no, she's been in a ton of stuff. She was in Hulk. She was Bruce Banner. Well,
Edith.
His mother.
When
he had the flashbacks in that, terribly mixed up Ang Lee attempt at doing a Hulk movie.
She was in another movie called.
She was also in The Sopranos.
Oh.
I don't remember her character in this now. I have to go back and see which one she was. She might have been. I think I know who she was, but she was in The Cowboy Way, which is a movie I fucking love.
Oh, that's a great movie with Woody Harrelson and
I haven't seen that in 100 years.
Dude, that is so good. I still quote this movie all the time. Was it knock its horns off, wipe its stinky ass, and throw it on a plate? Like just so good. What a quotable movie. You want to talk about that movie or
No, we're talking about Gladiator.
oh,
This
okay.
long-awaited Gladiator. So Tommy gets the dishwashing job. But while we're at this diner, there is an instantly recognizable voice. You talked about The Sopranos. Well, it's freaking Feech LaManna himself. Robert Loggia
Loggia.
plays Pappy Jack, the talent scout of sorts and the right-hand man
What a great name.
of fight promoter Jimmy Horn. What a great name. Just a wonderful actor.
Like a straight out of the 30s
Oh yeah.
type of,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
character. Like he was like a Dick Tracy villain.
Exactly. So now we got this character introduced. Very interesting. We got Spitz, Shortcut, and the rest of the stormtroopers show up at the diner, and they like peek into the kitchen area, and they see there's Tommy. Tommy's washing dishes, and then Tommy gets to take a quick break and take out the trash, and that's where trouble starts because they follow him out there, and this time things are getting physical. I did like that Tommy used the classic kung fu line, Chris, that he has no quarrel with them. What?
But he did not use your favorite classic kung fu line
No,
by calling them a bunch of bastards.
that is absolutely true. But yeah, I have no quarrel with you. I've heard that many a time in a kung fu film. Not as many times as I've heard bastard.
It is interesting, right? So Tommy, this is 1992. This film comes out, so like he smokes a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah.
He very much needs parental guidance in his life, I think. And when I look at these teenagers,
the wrong path.
when I look at these teenagers in this movie, it just makes my heart weep a bit, because I feel like they really need a strong parental presence in their lives, and
Well, maybe they gave him the cigarette smoking gimmick so that they could use that as the excuse for what aged him, since he does not look like a high schooler, and this was before the heyday of 90210 and all of their ilk putting 20 somethings in high school. Because if you did this as college age kids, like, hey, I'm fighting for a scholarship, or I'm fighting for tuition money or something like that, it would have been just as believable. So you do kind of have to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, like all these, like, Shortcut is supposedly kicked out of high school, like, yeah, when, in 1975?
Yeah.
Beverly Hills 90210 started in 1990, Mr. DePetrillo.
I think Ozzie Davis.
Yes, I know it did, but you know what I'm saying. The prevalence of the shows
I
that
got you.
followed that format.
My wife watched Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
And in that show, I've walked into several episodes, and I'm like, these are supposed to be high school people, and they're like at these fucking like tuxedo parties, and they're all like cheating on each other with each other's dads and stuff. It's nuts. I was like, what in the hell are you watching?
So yeah, you got to see like the opposite end of the spectrum of these high schools. You got this high school, rough, lower income, and what happens when they don't have parental guidance. And then you saw the other ones where they're rich and spoiled, and their parents are just too busy. Like, they have parents, but they're not paying attention because they're too busy. And you see what happens to these kids when they don't have guidance, as you said, Jake.
That's right. They need. I mean, it's homes without strong parents. It's one of our biggest problems here in this country.
Big brothers and big sisters. That's where they come in sometimes. That's
right. Everybody needs a helping hand from time to time, and who better to do it than a big brother, a big sister, even if it's not, biological. Reach out to somebody. What is that website, and what is that stuff you were talking about?
EscapeGives.com.
That's it. That's the one.
There you go. This might be a 4-hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen, at the rate that we're going, and that's all right. Because, we're here for you. We are here for you, and we're thankful you're here for us. So, yeah, Pappy Jack sees what's going on because he steps in. He's like, what's going on? He sees Shortcut. Hey, you got to fight tomorrow. If Mr. Horn catches you, he knows you're street fighting. You're off the circuit. And then he has a chat with Tommy, does Pappy Jack. He's like, hey, what's up with you and this fighting skills that you have? Where'd you learn to fight? We find out he was Golden Gloves boxer in Bridgeport. And he offers him a spot against a fighter known as Black Death.
Oh, my.
That pays $750. But I will say this, you could say a lot about Tommy. He is one shrewd negotiator because we know, based on the TV math, that he needs $1,250.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's like, I'll do it for $1,250.
Yeah.
And Pappy Jack, also impressed with Tommy's balls, I guess we would say in this situation. His moxie.
His moxie and spunk.
His spunk.
His balls and his spunk.
Spunk and his balls. He's impressed by all of it. Not as much as that other guy in the other movie about Tommy Riley.
No, that guy
he
loved
wanted
his
the
balls.
spunk from that Tommy Riley's balls. But listen, that's fine. That's not the movie we're talking about. We're talking about 1992 Gladiator. And yeah, they make the deal. So the next morning, Tommy's dad, John, played by John Hurd, as Chad mentioned earlier before his Home Alone hypotheses, shows up. He tells Tommy that he got a sales job, but he'll be on the road for the next month. Gotta learn. Gotta go with one.
Sure.
Tommy points out the message on the TV, which is probably preventing him from watching some fantastic shows, or at least enjoying it. He could still watch, but it's got to be annoying.
90210.
Yeah, he probably could have been watching that. So,
that's true. Yeah, get that on the rabbit ears.
See how the other half lived. He could be, watching any. But yeah, so John calls Sharky, who is the bookie, I guess, that he owed money to, or loan shark, or whatever it was. Probably one of each. And he tells him he'll get the money, leave his kid alone. He acts like a hard ass on the phone. Telephone tough guy, I believe is the term for them.
Yeah.
And then he admits, he's like, hey, this has all been a wake-up call. I'm not playing, this having to move and uproot themselves. This is the wake-up call. No more cards, no more drinking. We'll get their lives back soon. He seems very optimistic.
Yeah.
But Tommy obviously is being, I think, a little bit more realistic because he's going to continue on with his plan to go for this fight. And that's what
I think.
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that he realizes how severe it is, like that it's a serious situation that, washing 30,000 dishes ain't going to do it or whatever it was. So, he's obviously a smart young man. Right. So I think that he sees this as a one-time deal, go in the ring, make the money and, go back to English class.
Yeah.
Don't rely on dad.
The only class he ever goes to. The only class anyone goes to at that school that we see. So Tommy shows up for his first fight, meets his corner man Noah, played by Ozzie Davis. Finds out they fight with only 6-ounce gloves.
Nice.
And then turns out, Chris, guess who is one of the other fighters?
Dawn.
Not Dawn.
Shortcut.
No, we're talking about Romano.
Oh, that's right, Romano.
Romano
Yes.
is
this the
there.
part? No, it's later on when he's dancing to Rico Suave.
Yeah.
Rico Suave is awesome.
What a fantastic song. So yeah, Romano is also a fighter. I think it was you, Chad, in the text with me. We're like, boy, this high school turns out nothing but boxers.
What a great school.
This is like,
it's like one of the. Did you? Yeah, I think you said that it's like one of those schools in Texas.
Texas, nothing but foot. We're just a football player factory. Come on,
Friday Night Lights.
Come on.
I think it's the hard life that breeds fighters.
It's a hard knock life for sure.
No doubt.
So Romano, he's like, you better warm up, and he gives him some pointers on fighting Black Death, but not giving him pointers how to fight Black Death of his lungs as he continues to smoke.
The real Black Death. I mean, if you think about it, Brain, what percentage of people are dying from lung cancer in this country?
I don't know. I don't have those figures in front of me.
I'd like you to pull it up for
I
me.
think it's probably significantly less than it was back in 1992.
You know what other figures aren't in front of you? American Ninja
God
figures.
damn it! You're right. You're just roasting
Oh,
yourself now, you bald bastard. Where is that shit?
just rub it in our faces.
Yeah,
I guess
he's probably got them.
but
I'd like to see.
I wanted
I'm
to.
going to Rhode Island.
I wanted to. Hey, come, my birthday's in 2 weeks. Come swing by.
Listen, it's always
Um,
about him. Go on.
no, I was going to say to the point of Black Death, there was a very um, odd thing in the 90s when it came to villains in movies like this, because in this movie we had Black Death, in Jerry Trimble's Full Contact we had Black Ice, and in Don the Dragon Wilson's Blood Fist, Billy Blanks was the Black Rose. So it was almost like they wanted to specify that these intimidating African American gentlemen were black something. Like they had to like throw
Yeah,
that at
Bobby
us. It was
Lashley
kind
would
of
be
it was
pissed.
yes.
Uh,
Yes, but it was very in your face back then. It was almost like a trope that if there was an African American villain in some of these action movies, they had to be black
yeah,
something.
and Seal would eventually write a song about Billy Blanks. So Black Death's entrance music, speaking of song, is Mama Said Knock You Out, which is phenomenal. Another just what a pick. I mean, perfect. Obviously, that song's perfect for a boxer. It's all about the
It's a jam.
boxing in the video. Shadow boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So things aren't looking too good though. As the fight begins, Tommy is not doing well as it starts out. But he starts mounting quite a comeback, Chad Cruz. And who's sitting in the front row? We finally get to see him. We've heard of this man, but we finally get to see Jimmy Horn.
The infamous Jimmy Horn, played by none other than Brian Dennehy. And he's watching this fight, and he's seeing things in Tommy that he hasn't seen in a long time. And I don't mean just because he's a pale as fuck white guy.
Right.
He's seeing that moxie, that spunk that comes from his balls.
Yeah.
He's seeing all that stuff in the ring as it's happening, because Tommy, he's struggling in this fight to begin with. And the main reason he's struggling is because he's so used to fighting with actual rules.
Right.
And Black Death don't give a fuck about rules. He's like poking him in the eye and shit, and he's punched him in the balls. And so it's pretty wild in there. So once Tommy kind of realizes that, the rules don't quite apply here, he adapts, and he's able to overcome Black Death, and he knocks him the fuck out. And Jimmy Horn's just watching this, and are you the boy I've been waiting for? Like, he's just can't wait to say that line to him.
Tommy gets so hyped up after knocking out Black Death. He knocks out the referee too.
Oh, that's great. What a fantastic scene. He's just standing in the ring by himself, raises his hands in the air. The crowd goes nuts. I loved it.
And obviously Tommy wants the money. That's why I did this whole thing. But Pappy Jack's like, oh, Mr. Horn's going to pay you personally. You come by to the gym Monday after school. Then
after school.
Well, yeah.
What a wild thing to say. Like, after school, we'll come by the gym,
right,
and I'll pay you the
money
for fighting.
After your one class, actually. After you go to your one class.
First period.
Come over. By then, I'll have had my breakfast and be ready for you. Romano introduces Tommy officially to Lincoln. They've kind of crossed paths, but never actually met. And then, indeed, we get to Monday after school. Tommy goes to the gym. Horn is working with one of his fighters, and Horn's schooling his ass in more ways than one, is what my notes said, Chris.
Yes.
And Chad. Whoever wants to chime in here, do it. Or fight for it. Who wants to do it? Go.
Chad, the word schooling ass isn't bringing anything to the front of your mouth here? You're not trying to... wow, that sounded wrong. Okay, I was talking about words, but that one could get twisted out.
Yeah, there's no ass. No asses have been near my mouth recently, but Horn,
yeah,
he schools ass in a different way, and that school, he's
some ass.
He's sparring in the ring with this big beefcake motherfucker, and Horn's teaching him not just that boxing's not just about punching a guy hard, it's about beating the guy's body as well as his mind. Mm-hmm. It's about using strategy to overcome the advantages that your opponent has, and Horn's a master at that. His entire life has been about using his abilities and his skills to overcome whatever adversity was in his way, whether it was in his boxing career or now as a garbage human. But he's doing a great job in the ring, and he ends up fucking getting after it with this guy, and they're sparring pretty hard, and Horn knocks him the hell out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Horn, his whole thing is you find your opponent's weakness and you exploit it. And that's how his whole operation is, because he's got these kids who obviously need the money, and he's using them to make himself money, and they think they're doing something, Romano, will hear from him he's got big plans for when he gets more money and higher up the card and becomes a pro. I mean, he's a dreamer. And Horn is the type of guy who could take advantage of that.
Brain, what do you think my weakness is?
Time management. All right.
That's accurate.
I know it is. Horn then turns his attention to Tommy. And yes, as you said, Chet, he hits that, "Are you the boy I've been waiting for?"
Well, that's a good line.
That line is also used in the other Tommy Riley movie, I understand, but in a different context.
So you have seen it?
No, I just looked it up on IMDb. No, Tommy just wants his $12.50. Horn's like, "Hey, I couldn't get you a spot on the circuit." Not the Oliver Grunner series. And Tommy respectfully declines. He's like, "No, this is a one-time, one night only." Tommy Riley steps in the ring. Then we get Pappy giving him the hard sell. Then Horn backs off, and it's like he's like, "Oh no, that's okay. I respect it. Here's your money." But that's way too freaking easy, Chris.
Strategy.
Way too.
Anytime
easy.
you see Brian Dennehy in a movie, the odds are he's up to no good.
Right.
He's like Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's minus the allegations.
Yeah,
but
we know.
When you see Brian Dennehy, you can pretty much expect him to be a trademark Chris the Brain level bastard.
Right. Chad Cruz loved him in the Jackie Presser story. That was his favorite Brian Dennehy role, by the way.
I can't get enough of that.
I was actually a fan of his heroic turn in the FX films.
He does do a good job as the good guy in that one.
He was Leo, the detective that helped Brian Brown's character.
That is correct. And he had Bluey the Clown as well to help. He's going to get Horn wants Tommy on the circuit. He's going to get Tommy on the circuit. Romano, and this is where he's like, "What the hell? You're passing up all that money?" But boy, Romano has quite the gift for Tommy, Chad Cruz.
He does. He has a wonderful gift for Tommy. And as I'm talking here, I'm just trying to remember what it is.
It's the hat.
It's a hat. It's a hat. That is exactly what it is. I knew if I talked long enough, I'd remember what it was. But yeah, he gives him this hat. And the hilarious thing that happens is Tommy puts it on, and then he says, "My first hat." Which is insane.
Yeah.
Because he smoked about 40 cartons of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And he
he would have got.
That's why it was his first hat.
And he's got random ass jobs, and he's like,
he would have gotten one of those Joe Camel hats if he cashed in his points.
I can't believe you could be however old he's supposed to be. I'm assuming 18, and he has a hat for the first time in his life. My 1-year-old has
he had that,
a dozen hats.
He had that perfectly coiffed, kind of spiky and wavy at the same time hair. He would have been a great Guile if they didn't hire Van Damme.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know he was, he kind of got his, I don't know, fame, I guess. James Marshall was on Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Yep.
Have either of you ever watched Twin Peaks?
I have not.
I have seen it, but not in years.
Okay. I don't know anything about Twin Peaks. I don't know what he was like on that, or if he was good, or if he was, I have no clue. But I just know that he got this movie because of his work on Twin Peaks. So, and I know this movie was a massive bomb, just so you know.
That's a shame.
It's devastating, yes.
I mean, it was released in March. They obviously didn't have much hope for it, or it was just kind of one of those off-season movies. Throw it out there, see what happens.
Dumped in the doldrums of the pre-spring bloodletting at the theater.
And that's when, back then, you still had to kind of wait till Memorial Day before the big movies really came out. Now it's like April, and they're like, "Yeah, summer starts now, you bastards."
I would have thrown some Christmas trees up here and just made it a Christmas movie
Yeah,
because it's already winter. Come on,
yeah,
man, just
yeah.
throw some lights up.
Well, that didn't happen. But what did happen is what I had mentioned just a few moments ago about Romano and his big plans, which that's like the red flag. Like he's got all these big plans, and you're like, "Oh, Romano, why are you doing this?" It's like when these guys, like in these movies, like I'm gonna do one last job. I'm gonna do one last. Nah, this is horrible. Or oh, my wife is pregnant. I can't wait to see the birth. No, you just jinxed yourself,
Yeah.
dude. You just jinxed yourself. All right. Well, Pappy spots Tommy paying Sharky's collectors, and that is the opening that Pappy needed. He calls up Sharky, and next thing you know, Tommy and his girl Dawn are walking home from school, and she's like, "Oh, you're a fighter." "Oh no, that was a one-time deal. Don't worry about me, Dawn. I'll be there washing dishes
I'll be there in English class
and
with you.
English class and dishwashing." And just as he says that, Pappy pulls up and he's like, "Mr. Horn wants to see you." And Tommy's like, "No, I have no reason to see him." And Pappy's like, "I know multiple ways to get a guy inside a car," which is also in the other Tommy Riley movie, I understand.
Yes. Now he says, "I know multiple ways to get a guy in a car," but the guy just kind of stands up.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem very threatening to me.
Well,
Did he
you're
seem
Chad
threatening to you?
Cruz. I was terrified.
You were okay.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen Professor Toru Tanaka in that role.
Oh yeah, that.
I
This
think
guy kind of looks like Daniel's cousin on Cobra Kai.
I'll
You know, his
take your
cousin
word
Louis
for
that
it.
works at the dealership.
I was just,
Wait,
I was,
you watched
I
Cobra
was
Kai?
just letting it be silent because I thought
I didn't know.
that was more humorous.
I've never watched Cobra Kai before.
They never die. I could tell you
Okay.
that much.
I do know that. Yes.
Okay. The first episode features Iron Eagle, which sold me on the whole series.
Hell yeah.
So the guy, comes out. Tommy doesn't want to test it. He's like, "Okay, I'm not going to start a big thing here." So he go to the gym. Horn's like, "I was hoping you would rethink your decision." Tommy's like, "Nope." Then Horn drops his bombshell. He found out how much Tommy's dad owed Sharky. It wasn't just the $12.50 was just kind of the installment, one of the installments.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks,
Yeah,
right?
2 weeks. Total $15,000. You would have had to body slam Big John Studd to get that kind of money.
Sure was.
Especially back then.
And Horn, Big John Studd, of course, we mentioned him. What was Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Check it out in the archives. The total $15,000. Horn bought that debt. And basically, by buying that debt, Chris, he now bought Tommy.
Yep. So I guess that boy that Mr. Horn wanted so bad is now his, thanks to the fact that John Hurt is a degenerate gambler.
Correct. So Tommy and now Lincoln have a bonding experience, and this is Chad Cruz's favorite part of the film. Chad, explain.
No, it's not. No, there is a brief chase scene here, I believe, right? So Tommy walks up, turns a corner, and there's like a potential gang killing here as the stormtroopers are trying to murder Lincoln. Tommy backs in and he goes fucking Batman and Robin with Lincoln. They fight the stormtroopers off, and they run off, and they escape, and then they're kind of bonding over this whole situation. And then Lincoln is telling him about his baby girl and his lady who just turned 16. And they have a child together, which means Lincoln had a baby with a 15-year-old. And I think that's the moment in the movie where I was like, ooh, I don't remember this part. But it just doesn't, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Again, I think that part of that is because these people don't look like they're high schoolers.
Yeah.
So you're just hearing him say.
Cuba was only a year away from Boys in the Hood. He had just done Boys in the Hood. So.
Yeah. it's just, to me, it's kind of a weird thing to write. You're like your hero, your avenging angel guy, close to God, my brother, like all this stuff. He's not there just like banging 15-year-olds, and I just don't like it. I call me too conservative for this, or whatever. But I've got a couple girls of my own, and I don't like it one bit. Stay away from Cuba Gooding.
Understandable. We get to Tommy's hanging out with Noah, and we get a little bit of the Jimmy Horn backstory about how his fighting career came to an abrupt end, and how he made something of himself afterwards, though. The Jimmy Horn story. Back at his place, Tommy is working out with his makeshift heavy bag. Did you enjoy that ingenuity, Chad Cruz?
I did. I really did. I used to hit all kinds of shit when I was a kid. We would get like a bunch of pillows and duct tape them together and stuff like that. Especially after seeing this movie, this is right at the peak like time of boxing at my house. In the early '90s, and so Tyson was so popular and stuff like that, and we were super into boxing. We were still watching all the Rocky films and stuff. So, there was pretty much not many days that went by where we weren't shadow boxing in the corner of the room.
Well, Dawn interrupts. She's got the SAT booklet and his paper on Mark Twain, which Miss Higgins, is like, why hasn't Tommy been around? She read his paper out loud to the whole class.
Ugh.
Why hasn't a truant officer been to the apartment?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, they got better things to do in Southside Chicago.
Probably. So Tommy's like, okay, well, I'm going to walk you home, Dawn. And he gives her the 411 on what's going on, how he ended up where he's at, and why he now has to fight for Mr. Horn.
Do you think he told her about being left home alone and all the things that happened there?
I think he probably did.
I bet he did.
Outside the school,
because he's actually home alone right now.
Right.
His dad's gone.
Yeah, she interrupted his alone time.
This is the perfect sequel.
It really is. Outside the school, Romano and Tommy are smoking, and there's our boy Shortcut again, dropping spits off, and the two are making threats. Dawn comes up to him, lays one on him, and just,
Things are going well.
Things are going well, and to further this all along, Chris, we get a great multi-purpose montage.
Yes, we get the love montage mixed in with the training montage.
And we get some fights. We get to see some fight action.
Yeah.
Tommy moving up the card.
Mm-hmm. And now it is time. We've established that Romano is Tommy's good friend. He comes to the ring.
We established that he has a boombox that plays Gerardo.
All the time. He's got the Gerardo tape. And he comes out to Rico Suave. He's got cool, like, leopard boxer shorts. He's living the gimmick. He is Rico Suave when he enters that ring, and that's important.
It is. You really have to, you have to sell yourself. You have to look good in the ring, but on the way to the ring, that's your first opportunity to sell yourself. When that music comes on and the crowd turns to look, you got to give them something to see.
And John, he would be in that Chicago PD many years later. Is he like a Chicago guy? Or is that just a coincidence?
I think he was a boxer, like he was like not like a famous boxer or whatever, but I believe that he was a boxer and that's how he got this. And then his other big thing was that he was in Selena with Jennifer Lopez.
And it looks like he was a New Jersey Golden Glove, so just a coincidence that he ended up back in Chicago many years later. So yeah, he has to take on Shortcut. And Shortcut earns his name because he takes some shortcuts. Chad Cruz.
Ooh, he does. It's, and this is one of those parts of the movie that are so hard to watch because Romano is a cool guy. He's a good friend to Tommy, and he smokes a lot of cigarettes. But he has great taste in music, and he's always staring at the ring girls, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, Shortcut. He puts some fucking wicked liquid stuff on his inside of his glove, and then he puts
like a chloroform type thing.
He puts him in Romano in a headlock during the fight and starts rubbing that shit in his eyes. And I think everybody could see it happening, but there's so few rules that are happening here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, these guys are all probably 17 years old. So they just kind of let it happen. And then Romano is pretty much blinded, and then he gets the piss beat out of him.
Yeah, Tommy attempts to intervene. And after Shortcut is declared the winner, Tommy jumps into the ring and gets into it with him, which that's like a booker's dream right there. Like, oh, we've got my work's done. We've got a future fight right here. Boom. Dad checks in with Tommy. Guess what? Going to be gone for a few more weeks. So more unsupervised home alone time for Tommy.
More unsavory betting action from Dad, no doubt.
You don't think he's reformed, do you?
I
don't.
You don't think he's reformed?
I don't think he reformed. No.
What was he selling?
I mean, truthfully, John Hurd. I mean, this was a glorified cameo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His screen time meant absolutely nothing. Which within the context of the film, I get it. Absentee father and stuff like that. But we don't know anything about him other than he's a deadbeat and
a gambler.
It's just my opinion that he remained a deadbeat. That's why he didn't come back. He's kind of like, you know what, you're on your own, kid.
I think this is a perfect time to shout out anybody from the Sportsbook with Nick and Gio audience who might be listening, because once again, I made you all kinds of money, you bastards.
Can you can bet on like WWE stuff?
Apparently so. Someone's taking that action.
Really? It's not real, right?
Well, 2 shows in a row, clean sweep from me.
Damn, dude, you're good.
That's right. It's
almost like you've been watching wrestling for 45 years.
For a long time, and I'm apparently very tuned into Mr. Paul Levesque's booking mind.
Hell yeah.
And I think it also helps that he probably, unlike the previous booker and Vince, I will always appreciate your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
He could just change his mind on a whim. And I think that made it difficult to sometimes call what was going to happen, even if what happened made absolutely no sense. Where under this regime, things are kind of following a logical train of thought. And there could be some tweaks or some shakeups here and there, but it was good. I like that Nakamura one. That was I went against the odds on that one. Samurai Nakamura, pretty freaking awesome. Happy to see it.
Is that Zach was conflicted on that one since he loves both guys? But when Nakamura won, he reacted pretty strongly to it.
So Dad checks in. He's going to be gone. Miss Higgins and Dawn are worried about Tommy wasting his talents in English. Because what kind of job can you get if you have English talents?
English teacher,
writer.
There you go.
Or a fucking professor,
librarian.
Or you could just like I have a degree that I don't use. You could do anything.
That's true.
Mine just sits in a box somewhere. I don't even know which box it's in. That's how sad it is.
It's a sad state of affairs. Well, anyway, Tommy goes to visit Romano, and this is a gut-wrenching scene. Romano's just brain dead. Actually, they find out he's worse than brain dead, or at least that's what the guy in the bed next to him says. And now that, really sets up a grudge match because, all right, Tommy was already pissed with Short. Now you basically killed his friend.
Yeah.
Now it's a grudge.
Now it is the grudge of grudges. And Tommy's going in angry, but Noah, wisely there, veteran of the fight game, calms him down and gives him a game plan. And once again, Chad, we get Shortcut doing his bullshit cheating. And coupled with some trash talking.
Yep. Is he dead yet?
Oh, that's
how's Romano? Is he dead yet?
That's not called for.
It's not good. And Shortcut, he doesn't even fight at all. He just instantly goes to the cheating.
Mhm.
But Tommy's so pissed off that it doesn't work on him.
Right. And he's going to fight dirty too. He knows the game now. He's been around. He hits him with a suplex, a punch to the balls.
Yeah. That's great.
Horn is pissed that when Tommy did eventually show mercy, though. But, he's still got his boy. That's the boy he's been looking for. After the show, Tommy meets Lincoln's girl and baby, and the baby pisses on him. And
no diaper, apparently.
They offer to give Tommy a lift.
Oh, why not?
And when he gets to his apartment,
That's the least they could do. Their baby peed
right.
over.
And he gets to his apartment. Who's waiting outside? But Dawn.
Booty call.
And it's sexy time, and he's getting some, even though he smells like urine.
Ooh, prepare to fuck.
I mean, does smelling like a dishwasher really smell any better?
Right.
So she's probably used to him just having some kind of a funk on him.
Yeah, she likes that funk, that man musk.
Oh my God, these are teenagers, Brain. Chill.
Teenage musk.
Teenage musk. There's probably
that was my band name.
A CW show called that.
The next day, our boy Abraham, goes down in a sparring session, and we find out it's because that fight, remember the heavyweight dude that Horn was schooling, he's like, you know what, put him in there with Abraham. Even though there's like no weight class. Again, there's no weight classes in this thing.
No.
They just, it's like freaking Roman Coliseum practically.
It's called Gladiator, by the way.
Ding. That's why they call it that. I finally figured it out.
Oh, it all
wait till they unleash the lion on somebody.
Oh shit! Spoiler alert, everybody! In case you haven't seen this in a while or never saw it, sadly, you're the reason it didn't do well at the box office if you've never seen it.
Do you know what was more popular than gladiatorial combat?
Syphilis.
Chariot racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big fucking deal back then.
Do you remember?
Although, I'll tell you what, if they had chariot racing now, I would watch it every single time. It's badass. Watch Ben-Hur. It's awesome.
It's probably not fair to the horses.
Come on, dude.
Don't they have some of that? Didn't they have those horses with the gimmicks on?
Yeah, they have harness
racing. That's
it's a little bit different.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let's have some chariot racing.
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah. So Abe is not doing well. Doc checks him out. Probably should rest for 60 days. Could be a possible.
Yeah, it was like the Bryan Danielson situation, like the post-concussion syndrome.
A possible brain bleed. Might be nothing. Might be a brain bleed. So best to just sit out for a while.
Take a break, yeah.
But of course, that's going to interrupt the plans of Mr. Horn. So the next fight night, Tommy arrives at the venue. Show's already going, so he thinks he's freaking Bret Hart at this point. And he notices his scheduled opponent is in the ring with somebody else. They're like, oh, don't, and I believe it's Pappy Jack, who's like, oh, don't worry about it. We got you a new opponent. And it's none other than the man who should be waiting 60 days to get in the ring, Abraham Lincoln Haynes.
Whew, and Lincoln is already warming up.
Yeah, he's all about it.
He's getting warmed up. Tommy just showed up to the venue. Lincoln's all warmed up. He's going to have to stay warmed up for like an hour. You know, and that's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
I think, you know what I'd say?
What's that?
Strategy.
Yeah. Well, Horn's money, and he kind of dangled that carrot like, hey, you go pro after this, kid. I'll get you a fight at Madison Square Garden.
Boxing blackmail.
So of course he's going to ignore the doctor's orders because the doctor wasn't 100% sure there was anything wrong with him.
No, they fired him. Remember?
And then they fired the doctor. They get a doctor to tell him what they want him to tell him. So they probably had this new doctor. It's like, oh, you're fine. You're good.
Yeah.
But Tommy's like, no, I'm not doing it. I know what could happen to him. Horn's like, yeah, you're gonna you're gonna win. And then we'll talk about your future, Tommy.
Mm.
And again, there's Pappy Jack. Pappy Jack is the master of the hard sell. He comes in and he's trying to do it. Dawn shows up as well now. This is the emotion is just building here.
So much emotion.
And now there is a subplot. We haven't touched on it, but there's a couple of instances in the film where you can see it going on, where it's kind of clear that Pappy Jack is trying to take this over from Horn
Mm-hmm.
because he knows that people are kind of like, fed up with Horn's bullshit. They don't want to deal with him. Like there's the part where the cop is taking the bribe and Pappy Jack's like, there's an extra 100 in there from me. Remember where that came from? So
Yep.
you can kind of see that building. And I remember as a kid, I thought that the eventual finale or whatever would be like, Pappy Jack is kind of like the lovable gangster. Like, he leads the guys in a revolt. Like, they all
Mm-hmm.
stand up and go after Horn. But that was not the case.
You know what we also haven't touched on is the entrance song for Lincoln.
Excellent. That's right. Lincoln coming out to Can't Touch This. The MC Hammer classic. The song that put Hammer on the map. And then Chad's favorite song is Tommy's entrance music. Warrant's version of We Will Rock You.
Which my son loves.
It's
That
good.
is legitimately one of his favorite songs.
It's a good version of it too. It's weird when you hear it. You're like, that sounds different.
Right. Chad Cruz, here's a question for you, you bastard.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever use that as entrance music?
We Will Rock You from Warrant?
Yeah.
No, I did not, but I did use what was the song earlier?
Rico Suave.
No, if I could pull that off, I would. What was the song during
Knock You Out?
What was the song during the montage?
Oh yeah.
I Will Survive.
Yes, from shit.
I
What was the name of the
will
band?
survive.
I've used that once.
Okay.
And one of my favorite songs I used was the song at the end of Commando.
Right.
That was badass.
Yeah, Power Station. Okay.
Power Station. So,
well, in round one of this fight that Tommy doesn't want to fight, he's refusing to fight, and the crowd and Horn are pissed. So in round two, they make it clear that they're going to mess with his girl Dawn, who's sitting right down there, and good old Horn's putting his arm around her, like, yeah,
holding her hostage, basically.
Feeling her up.
All right, come on. Mister, I don't like this stuff. And you then take it to such a horrible place. This old,
he's a villain.
Dirty old. I understand he's a villain. Tommy,
he's a villain. Lincoln's a hero, and he's banging 15-year-olds.
But he could have been 16 when she was. He could have just turned 7. Who knows? I mean, he looks 30, but I understand.
Come on, man.
All right. Well, Tommy fights, but now he's only doing body shots. Does not want to punch Lincoln in the head because, again, possible brain bleed.
Yeah. Beat the body, the head goes down with it.
That's smart. Fans are throwing trash in the ring. Tommy's trying to talk sense into Lincoln. Horn then gets into the ring and demands Lincoln continue to fight. And what Tommy said obviously has sunk in now, Chris. Because Lincoln ain't going to do it no more.
No, probably the most memorable scene of the film because it was one that replayed in all the commercials and the trailers and stuff. But Brian Dennehy's like, you don't say no to me, and Link just steps up and is like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fighting for you, no.
And then he promptly gets his ass uppercutted out of the ring.
Just knock the fuck out.
It was like Thunder Lips. Like,
yeah,
he just manhandled him. It's great. It's great.
So then Horn, getting on the mic, apologizes to the crowd. Admission and your bets will all be refunded. That had to eat away at the promoter in him.
Oof, yeah.
But then Tommy steps up and challenges Horn. If Tommy wins, he's free and clear. If Horn wins, Tommy is his, I guess, for life, or at least until Horn doesn't need him anymore.
Didn't he only have one more fight left?
I believe so.
Yeah,
so that was a risk.
Risky bet.
He could have been stuck for who knows until he was freaking brain dead.
Until he was Romanoized.
Oh.
And he already had been beat up pretty bad, you know? He'd already taken quite a beating.
Because, he wasn't fighting back for a good while there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you already know, Horn's going to use every fucking little trick in the trade that he knows. He's going to,
Well, and the first thing we have is it's bare knuckles, which is not really a surprise because they kind of, when he was in the office and he had all the pictures of the old boxers, no gloves. He's like, those were real men. Those were warriors.
Yeah.
Just fight with their bare hands. So, they kind of foreshadowed that a bit. And like you said, Jay, all the tricks, the top of the head gimmick. He pantses Tommy.
That is part of the body.
Tries to humiliate him.
He shows his butt cheeks.
Yeah. Chad Cruz probably wanted that to happen to him in a match.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, he thought about that when he watched the unofficial sequel.
Yeah, were there any butt cheeks in the? No, don't. I want to talk about that.
Now my biggest problem with this thing, I like to put myself in and like think about what would I do in this situation, right? And when he did kind of put his bare hands out, like, hey, this is going to be fucking no gloves kind of situation, I immediately thought it's winter in Chicago. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but my skin's pretty dry right now.
Yeah.
So is there heat in this warehouse?
One punch and my hands would be bleeding like so bad. They're so cracked. They're bad. It's, they're rough hands.
Yeah.
And I know fighting is not for wimps, but I might have just asked to put on some moisturizing gloves.
Yeah. Know what he should have done? Because this would have been perfectly legal as far as I could tell. He needed Muda Mist.
Oh, yeah. Who's going to stop him from? I mean, the crowd would have went nuts for that.
I would have loved it.
And he could have he couldn't have done it. He would have had to do like a white mist because he's like the Great White Hope or whatever.
It could have been green for his Irish heritage.
But do they ever call him Irish? I think it's a missed opportunity.
I think Tommy Riley's a kind of a giveaway, but you're right. They don't specifically say it.
No, in boxing, you would have think they would have leaned into that Irish Tommy Riley, and he would have had a fucking Scottish bagpipes playing behind him. Never makes much sense.
Well, Horn's going to do the same thing he did. He gets Tommy right outside the ring. Tommy's getting back, and it's clear here, Chris. Even the ref is kind of on Tommy's side. He's being real lenient with the.
He's encouraging him.
Like, come on, I'll count real slow.
Get up, kid. It's like the slowest count ever.
Yeah. Tommy won't stay down because he's freaking Tommy Riley, and he starts using Horn's tactics against him, which in turn frustrates Horn and makes him angry. And as we learned from Noah earlier, an angry fighter is a fighter. Anger is the enemy of a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the opening to give us what we want, a victory for our boy Tommy Riley.
It all comes together in the end.
Excellent. And Noah's there to congratulate him. Dawn gets her Adrian moment. Tommy and Lincoln shake hands. We get the end credits. And now the final thoughts on Gladiator from Chad Cruz.
Remarkable film, cinematic, one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces ever made, starring Brian Dennehy and James Marshall and Cuba Gooding Jr. I loved it. I've always loved it. I've been a fan of it since I can remember, and it's one of my top non-Rocky boxing movies of all time. Yeah. I got a fucking poster of it in my basement. It's just it hurts. Like, you have a movie that you just love, and then like hardly anyone's ever seen it. Anyone, I mean, like non-mega action movie fans,
right.
People who like adore action movies have all seen it, and they usually enjoy it. But you just talk to like the general public. I'm like, you want to watch Gladiator, but not the one with the Roman soldiers? Mm-hmm. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? So it does kind of, it's like one of those bands that you love that no one's heard of. So it's I don't know. It's going to forever be in a list of movies that I love. And I'm just glad that the curse is finally broken.
Yeah.
And we've 2 hours later, we're almost done with this
We're
podcast.
almost done. Speaking of bands we've never heard of, the frontman for Teenage Musk, Chris DePetrillo, what do you have to say about this movie?
I love this movie. I do not hide that fact. I've written about it. We've talked about it. We've mentioned it to each other. It's been mentioned in previous podcasts. It's one of those films, though, that, it's not like, your buddy goddamn Barry Chan over there, where we're
Ah,
discovering stuff, deep down the Tubi rabbit hole. This was a widely known film. Like, it didn't do well at the box office, but it had marketing, it had promotion, it had a killer soundtrack, it had a well-known cast. It just, for whatever reason, has not resurfaced on cable in ages, and my DVD copy is multi-region. So this is one that I'm hoping, whether it's Kino Lorber, MVD, Vinegar Syndrome, hopefully this is one that gets the specialty treatment and pops up sooner than later, so that more people can get in tune with the greatness of 1992's Gladiator.
I would agree. This one is long overdue for a Blu-ray release, so I could officially retire my Laserdisc.
Is it a problem that Cuba Gooding may potentially have been canceled? I feel like he did. I don't know what it was that he did, but pretty sure he's been canceled. So
I think it was some groping
Oh boy,
type stuff, but he
15
has
year
a
olds.
movie that just came out.
there
Okay,
you go. I mean,
that's positive
So,
sign. I mean, I don't know if he's
but
good
it's a
with
movie.
people.
It's a movie with Randy Couture on Amazon Prime. So it
But
basically looks like something that I would find in a Dollar Tree excursion if Dollar Tree was still getting
right,
DVDs.
right. Well, don't put him on the cover if that's the case. That's I don't care. All right,
He would. He might have John Hurd's amount of screen time in it that John Hurd had in this film.
true. So there you go. We finally did it. 1992's Gladiator, our most anticipated episode of all time. Again, at least by those of us on the show. What say you? Again, you can let us know on social media at Bulletproof Pod on Twitter and Blue Sky, at Bulletproof Action on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. And now, what's going on at Figures Toy Company? Because it is the holiday season. How's Black Friday go for you guys? What's happening, Chris?
We're doing excellent with a lot of the newer wrestling items that we've released throughout the year. All of our new Ultimate Edition figures, like the ring announcer, the commentator, the referee, and the female referee, those are doing great. So if you have children out there that you're buying a ring for, maybe you got them that steel cage ring from Walmart. Maybe you want to get them a bigger ring, like the one that we have, along with our steel cage, along with some of these figures, along with some of your favorite stars of the current day and the past. Head on over to figurestoycompany.com, where you will also find a plethora, that's a big word, but it's worthy of being used right here, a plethora of items from DC Comics, Scooby Doo, the Three Stooges, even Santa Claus himself and Mrs.
oh
Claus.
my God.
We have retro figures of the Christmas spirit himself in stock now. FigurestoyCompany.com for all of your holiday needs. Get to ordering so that you can get your orders in time to get them under the Christmas tree.
That is right. And when you're done going there, check out bulletproofaction.com because we've got new stuff every week. I know Ryan just started covering the latest from the Star Wars universe, Skeleton Crew. I will be attending a screening for Craven next week, so I will have
Ah,
a review of that. And then later in the month, there'll be another edition of The World's Most Dangerous, which I'm very excited to present. And who knows, maybe Chad will cover the Tommy Riley movie.
I will not
Oh,
cover
okay.
that movie.
Maybe he'll uncover it.
I will be uncovering nothing.
Okay.
That movie, I should, if I wasn't such a collector, I would have gotten rid of that movie ages ago. But in the little DVD booklet that I have, it fits perfectly in the spot that it's in. So I can't just throw it away. I mean, I have a couple pages of all boxing movies, and that fills out the last spot.
See, that's a reason that you need a Gladiator DVD. or Blu-ray?
I have Gladiator on DVD.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
Yeah,
Scratch
go
that.
fuck yourself. How about that?
Okay, why don't you tell me something? All right, well, let's talk about what's to come here on the podcast. We may have a bonus episode next week for you, but we'll definitely have, as the month progresses, Cobra.
Is that a question mark?
No, it's Cobra.
Okay.
It's Riot.
Oof.
And a special year in review on New Year's Eve. So that's all coming up here on the Bulletproof Podcast. We're basically going to be a full-time podcast in December if all goes to plan.
All this content is our Christmas gift to you, our loyal listeners.
That is right.
Hopefully people actually listen to it.
I hope so. I was hoping that this particular episode would have been up last week. Instead, goddamn Barry Chan's been our latest episode for far too long.
Barry bringing the numbers though. Barry Chan's doing pretty well.
Barry Chan.
A lot of people want to know what it's like to walk on the mean streets of Kung Fu.
Yeah, a lot of people know. All right, well, Barry,
who doesn't want to wrap Christmas gifts and listen to us talk about a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old
who doesn't
Kung
want
Fu?
to? Who doesn't want to learn more about goddamn Barry Chan? Mean Street. All right, well, here it is, Gladiator. Anything else you want to say, Chad Cruz, before I...
Nope.
Good. Chris, anything you want to say?
Nope. Take us home, Brain.
I will do that. So thank you, everyone, for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.